Louisiana MAGA Governor Jeff Landry has not had a good 48 hours after he saw 4 constitutional amendments go down in flames in a huge way. Amendment 1 lost big, 65-35. Amendment 2 lost big, 65-35. Amendment 3 lost big, 66% to 34%. Amendment 4 lost 65-35. Early voting was powered by black voters. They turned out in huge numbers. The folks who made that happen join us right now. Activist Gary Chambers Jr., Ashley Shelton, President and CEO of the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, Cliff Albright, co-founder, Black Voters Matter, will also be joined by Gino McLaughlin in just a bit. Gary, I want to start with you. Look, you came on the show multiple times. They even tried to pull in 50 Cent late to send out a video as well as text messages. None of that worked. It was a resounding rejection.
I think that what you saw is when power and people collide with each other, we can have real change in our communities. I want to shout out Ashley Shelton, Cliff, and all of the organizations and organizers around the state of Louisiana and the people of Louisiana and say thank you for sending this message to Jeff Landry. This is the first time that voters in Louisiana had the opportunity to tell the governor and the supermajority legislature what they think about the job that they're doing. And the answer is that over 60% of the people of Louisiana said no. Over 37% of the people who showed up to vote early were black, and black voters led the way through this conversation. I am so proud to be from Louisiana today. I have often said that Louisiana is not a red state, it is an underfunded state. And what we saw here was when the organizations had a balanced footing financially with the governor did spend more money, but this was not a race where I think they overestimated themselves and didn't spend as much as they normally would. And so it was more of a fair fight. And in that fair fight, the policies and the things that are on the right side of equity and justice always win, Roland. And thank you for always elevating these conversations.
I appreciate that. Ashley, here's the deal, though. I always say money cannot beat votes. When you engage people, when you talk to them, when you educate, when you inform, and then you let them know what's going on, it can change elections. And that's exactly what happened here. Walk folks through what y'all did by traveling around the state.
Yes, absolutely. And for us, this is a great win because this really is about people power. We know that we started with a town hall to kind of build some momentum. Gary and I went across the state of Louisiana talking to voters. I'm really proud to say that we had large turnout at all of our town hall meetings. We had black, white, old, young. People really were in tune to being engaged and trying to understand like what was at stake. And I mean, we had folks coming out in the pouring down rain. Late night on, missing Bible study, whatever was necessary for them to find out and understand what was happening with these amendments. And then, we coupled that with a much larger campaign led by about 60 groups across the state who came together to really fight this. And so, big hats off to my friend Sarah Mojola at Vera and my friend Kristen Lewis at Louisiana Center for Children's Rights, Vote, Voice of the Experienced, and so many more who really threw down, so that we could get the message out. And I think that that's what happened here is that you saw community stand up and say, like, we can't afford for politics as usual here in Louisiana because we're too poor and there's too much uncertainty. And these things were just patently bad. And I think it's also of note for the percentages you just shared that, Amendment 3 that would have put children as young as 14 years old in adult prisons got the most votes out of all of these amendments at 66% versus 64% turnout. And so we know that, what they meant for harm and the most egregious of these amendments was the one thing that people turned out and said, absolutely not. We will not give up our children so that, we can give bigger tax breaks to corporations that aren't even here in our state.
Cliff, a lot of times, I'm talking about for years, I've said to people, listen, stop sending money to campaigns and then you beg and hoping the money comes back into the community. I've said that when we fund our own organizations, we can now spend the money the way we want to. Y'all did that by working with grassroots folks on the ground. So talk about that piece as well. You're on mute.
Yeah, and that's really, what I wanted to focus on, because certainly Gary and Ashley can really focus on like the work that was done in Louisiana. We did some work there, sent out like $580,000, 580,000 text messages. But it's really about that work that Gary and Ashley are explaining. And as you said, that work takes resources. Part of the magic that we saw that happen in Louisiana is when you see all of these mechanisms of outreach, when you see Gary and Ashley doing those town halls, when you see the text messages, when you get the door knocks, when you see the social media, when you see all of that, that's what has the impact on folks. But all of that takes resources. More importantly, and this is something that we always emphasize in every state where we do our work, more importantly, that work has got to take place all throughout the year. Not every text message is created equal. A text message from Ashley, from Power Coalition, from Gary is more impactful because people get that all throughout the year. They get it in a presidential year, they get it in a gubernatorial year, they get it during the legislative session, they get it during the primaries. They are doing this work. They are credible messengers because it is nonstop. And that takes resources. It's not just about what people put into these organizations in the last 2 weeks or the last 2 months. It is about the way that we sustain our ecosystems. And what Ashley is describing is an entire ecosystem, those 60 organizations doing work every year, 365 days throughout the year. That's where the magic is at.
But this is the point right there, Gary, that I have been yelling and screaming. You cannot focus on 3 or 4 months before the election. I've also made clear that the black voter has changed. If you just look at the data doesn't lie. The people that vote the highest are 65 plus. They make it clear. They are informed, they know what's going on, and then they turn out. The next highest group is 55 to 64. Once you go below 55, hey, it gets harder and harder, which means that you also have to be educating people. We also cannot wait for a party to invest resources in a candidate. Now, the reality is that when you start looking at, frankly, the issues, more than likely a Democratic candidate is going to align with black folks on the issues, but you still have to reach them, talk to them, educate them, inform them. And so I just need people to understand that if we're talking about 2026, we got to be using the time now through the end of the year to get folk ready mentally, get them ready for the primary season 2026, and then get ready for a massive turnout in the 2026 midterm elections.
I think you're absolutely right. I agree with everything that Cliff said, as well as Ashley. I think what you saw here in Louisiana is when all of the wheels and mechanisms are working together well, and when they are in a fair fight. And so what we need right now is for the Democratic Party and those around the country to pay attention to the Deep South, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, these places where black people are in community, and then empower the voices and the people in community that they trust to go do the work that we already do. When you see people from working class white men showing up at these events to brothers with goals in their mouth, you know that you are cooking with the right sauce right now, and you're going to be able to get the combination that you need at the ballot box. That, to me, is the specialty in what we do that's different than a regular ad on TV. The text messages, the communication, the mail, when it's coming from people that you trust, that is something that you can mobilize behind. The other thing is, while the rest of the country is telling us to stop talking about black issues is what motivated black people to get out and go vote. That we need to have things and that either black people care about, that they can go out and fight for, or when we are defending our families and our children, black people will show up. We have to be motivated in certain situations unless we go out and do the work of educating and informing our population of people, because the reality is there's a whole generation of black people that did not grow up with the understanding of what took place in the civil rights movement. They are actively not teaching our children our history, and so it's on us to get into these communities, build relationship, have conversations with our people, and give them the information that they need. I say all the time, I trust the brilliance of black people when they have the information.
So, all right, Ashley, this election is over. What's next for the Power Coalition?
Well, we're gearing up for legislative session, so we go into session mid April, and and we think we're going to build on this moment and build on this momentum. And so this is the time. They used the teacher this teacher stipend that was not a pay raise. They absolutely had the power to give our teachers a pay raise, and the legislature chose not to. But we're going to use this as an opportunity to mobilize our teachers to say, like, let's actually go fight for a pay raise, since allegedly that's what the governor was trying to do. And so using these moments to really help people galvanize and really get behind what they deserve and what is actually real, and to like take the mystery out of politics. Like, no, like the legislature has the power to give you a pay raise. And so let's go and fight for that, especially since they tried to use you to drive voter turnout and, and take advantage of you and not give you what you deserved.
Now, what also are you looking at in terms of Gary, on keeping the momentum going? Because again, it's a lot that happens. People say, I'm busy. And so how do you see April through January, and then let's say the first January through June, and then July through November, Gary?
So one of the things I'm already actively working on is to do a civics for the people on some college campuses, because I think that we've got to get our young people informed and understanding the policies that are impacting them, and then how they can play a role in that. I think that a lot of times we expect people to participate in a game that they don't understand. And so it's on us to make sure that they understand the rules, understand their role in playing this game, and then empower them so that they can get out there and get to work in this field the same way that we are.
Cliff?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, in terms of Louisiana, we got to keep working with Gary, keep working with Ashley on some of those state issues, as well as on some of the federal issues. One of the things that we know is critical in Louisiana is the attacks that's been coming from the administration in terms of environmental protection, right? We all know about Louisiana and Cancer Alley and a range of issues. Policies like that impact our folks. When we can connect those dots on what exactly is happening at the policy level, at the federal level, and how it's impacting literally our lives, our health, our housing in places like Louisiana, then people will get more motivated to get involved. The other thing is, not shameless plug, we got to remember there's some other elections taking place tomorrow, Wisconsin, Florida. I'm sure that you're going to talk about that a little bit later on, Roland. But this same process that we're talking about here for Louisiana, investing in the infrastructure, investing in the local groups, doing it 365 days out of the year. There's some great groups in some of those counties, some NAACP chapters that we're working with, some churches that we've been working with. All those organizations need support, even in these last 24 hours, right? There are things that everybody watching this can do to continue to support those elections and continue to support Louisiana. Last thing I'll say about Louisiana is this: it's all about momentum. It's like telling a story. This victory in some ways builds off of, I'm sure Gary and Ashley will talk about the victory of that second congressional district that was recently won in the state of Louisiana. That came about because of deep organizing that Ashley and Gary and others in that state have been doing. Yes, it's litigation. Yes, LDF has done an incredible job, but that litigation can only be successful when you got the folks who are on the ground doing the work, even serving to be plaintiffs. So all of these strategies have got to work together.
Last one. When isn't there a New Orleans mayoral election? When is that?
It's this October, Roland. And so that is, for me, one of the critical issues for us, for all of the Black folks in America who enjoyed the Super Bowl and all of that Black flavor that was in it. There is a mayor's election in New Orleans. A lot of y'all gonna come to town for Essence. Make sure that you're paying attention to the Black candidate that's on the ballot. There is a reason that we have the magic that we have in that city, and it has been Black people and Black leadership. Louisiana, over the last few years, has lost the Black mayors in 4 out of the 5 largest cities in this state. And so New Orleans is the only city that is a sizable city in the state of Louisiana with a Black mayor currently. And it is my intention to make sure that it remains a Black mayor in New Orleans.
Well, Ashley, if you could speak on that. And I would also hope that the Black candidate is reaching out to Black-owned media, talking.
We're going to make sure it happens, Roland.
Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I wanted to share too, like this week, I'm glad Cliff brought up the congressional district. We were just at the Supreme Court on Monday of last week talking about keeping our congressional district because we were challenged by several white voters saying that we were disenfranchising them from their right to vote. And so we are really proud. We felt like, we handled the case very, our lawyers at LDF as well as Louisiana Inspector General did an amazing job defending the state's right to keep our second majority minority district. And then we also will be fighting for maps this fall. So we have, they also on the state level, we have 9 seats that we are contending for to actually get to an equitable map, which breaks the supermajority in both the House and the Senate. And those maps will be considered in this legislative session. And so this is about, bringing the power back to the people. This is about equity and voice and opportunity. And so, we're really excited about, how we move forward and how we take this momentum to the next level.
So I am very much a believer in when you have a victory, you spend 48, 72 hours enjoying that victory, then it's time to get back to work. So to the folk out there, first of all, y'all did an amazing job. To the people I've seen the posting on like, hey, way to go, Louisiana. Let me also say this here, and I've seen a bunch of y'all comments saying, oh man, this is awesome. But you just said they can't deposit that's awesome. And I need our people to understand we got to also invest. Again, it's got to be on the ground, the mayoral election. You heard Ashley talk about the fighting of the maps, all of that. If you're able to get black representation in those 9 districts, now all of a sudden they don't have the supermajority in Louisiana. Now they can't ignore Democrats. Now they got to talk to black people before they pass anything. And so this is an example of what happens when we use our power. And I am constantly saying, the target for black people in every place where there are a lot of us is 70%. If we hit 70% of our capacity, we completely change elections. I don't want to see us happy with 38, 42, 50. It should be 70, 75% because we're going to have a hell of a challenge in 2026. You've got the Georgia senatorial race. You've got other races. You've got congressional races. Democrats are 3 seats away from breaking Republicans controlling that. But we have to be maximizing our power and not just talking about it. And so, Ashley, Gary, we also appreciate Cliff as well. Thanks so much. Gino was supposed to join us. Gino McLaughlin has some issues there with his connection, but we want to thank all of you. And so we'll be sure to have y'all back on. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Hashtag Team Whip That Ass show up today on Capitol Hill, embodied by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She did not mince any words when it came to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, but also his Attorney General, Pam Bondi.
Now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I first just want to begin with a news alert. Guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. So maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move into the present, because it seems like we are living in the past. And listen, these are not the good old days, you know, like you used to sit around and your grandparents would talk to you about what used to happen. What we need to be talking about is how we are going to legislate, because I think that some of my colleagues have confused what our jobs are. And I get that we're sitting in judiciary. And so it may seem as if we are here to be litigators, but we are here to be legislators, which means that we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric, and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear, because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting attorney general go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information, and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook, because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him, because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman, that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm gonna walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me. And that is what it looks like to serve. Thank you.
Oh, I love it when all those folks just real silent, ain't got nothing to say when Congresswoman Crockett just drops the mic. It's as simple as that. And yeah, she should have checked Pam Bondi, because that child, she spends more time on Fox News she does at the Department of Justice. But that goes to show you, Donald Trump, he's not actually trying to run the country. He wants to run a TV show. That's all this is. That's why Kristi Noem keeps playing dress up and going on all with the Department of Homeland Security, because once she discovered they have all those outfits, she thinks she's on television show. These people have no business being in power. Unfortunately, they are, because a lot of folk stayed at home and complained and said Kamala wasn't good enough. What y'all saying right now?
But we begin tonight with the people who are really running the country right now.
Now, Trump is often wrong and misleading about a lot of things, but especially about history.
Donald Trump falling in line with President Elon Musk.
In the wake of the unsettling news that MSNBC has canceled Joy Ann Reid's primetime show, The Readout, Roland Martin and the Black Star Network would like to extend an invitation to all of the fans of Joy Ann Reid's MSNBC show to join us every night to watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming on the Black Star Network for news, discussion of the issues that matter to you, and the latest updates on the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump and his unprecedented assault on democracy, as well as co-president Elon Musk's takeover of the federal government. The Black Star Network stands with Joy Ann Reid and all folks who understand the power of black voices in media. We must come together and never forget that information is power. Be sure to watch Roland Martin Unfiltered weeknights, 6 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/Roland S. Martin, or download the Black Star Network app.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Hashtag we tried to tell ya. Y'all have seen the shirts that we've been selling. Pull the graphic up. Hashtag we tried to tell ya. FAFO 2025. You know, you got Project 2025, but with Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office, it's FAFO 2025. Well, what did Vice President Kamala Harris tell you? The man was going to screw up the United States economy with his tariffs. That's exactly what he has done. He announced the other day, which he called Liberation Day, massive tariffs against a number of different countries, including many United States allies. He has been constantly attacking Canada, calling them the 51st state, dismissing them, treating them like a stepchild. And Canada said enough is enough. Well, guess what? The U.S. Senate passed a bill to undo Donald Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods. And of course, they make it clear that that's not how you treat a partner. But when you have the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief, who's also a con man, leading the charge, well, this is what happens. Joining us right now is the senator from Virginia who sponsored that bill, Tim Kaine. Glad to have you back on the show.
Great to be with you, Roland. Thanks.
All of these people, and it pains me as well, all of these people, oh, we need a businessman back in the office. Oh, we need a businessman. Sure, it'd be great to have a businessman back in office. But I remember when we also had the first elected president to hold the MBA, George W. Bush. What do those two have in common? They both tanked the economy. And what he is doing here, stock market, CEOs are saying, what the hell are you doing? Ford announced laying off 900 workers. These tariffs are wrecking the economy, an economy that Biden-Harris handed him that was in good shape, rebounding from COVID.
Roland, President Trump inherited the strongest economy in the world when he was inaugurated in January. We were beating every other nation, not perfect, but manufacturing up, unemployment down, more people with health insurance than ever before, infrastructure being built. Donald Trump, in 2 months with his chainsaw, has left rubble, and it's getting worse. Consumer confidence down, stock market volatile, inflation up. Some Fed regions predicting not just a slower growth rate, but even a negative growth rate and recession. And he's doing it by indiscriminate and mass firings of people that hurt the economy, and this ridiculous focus on imposing the largest tax in the history of the peacetime United States, this national sales taxes, which is what tariffs do, for the most idiotic reasons and with no real economic justification other than I'm going to take the tariff revenue I collect and use it to fund a tax break for the wealthiest.
I really do think the people who work for him are absolutely in a cult. And the reason I have to say that, and I say that because I'm going to play the video in a second. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins was on Fox Business touting the amazing leadership of Donald Trump while they are showing the stock market down 1,400 points. What world are these people in?
Well, Roland, you've asked it, and I don't have a good answer for you. They are cultists. You know, Donald Trump talks about the golden age. I think it's like almost the golden years. This guy, especially on the economy, this quote businessman is wrecking the economy. And he's doing it for, using discredited theories. When the Republicans did tariffs under the Hoover administration, it just prolonged the Great Depression. They never work when they're done like this. There is a place for tariffs strategically applied against a nation that has put up artificial barriers against your own products. In that circumstance, tariffs can work maybe ultimately to lower tariffs everywhere. But using this bizarre mathematical formula they came up with and saying that they're imposing reciprocal tariffs against uninhabited islands and places around the world that hardly have people, much less products that are exported. I mean, I expect to see Legoland and Bikini Bottom on the next list of places that tariffs are going to be imposed. But you're right. Many of my colleagues, we had this vote last night, and we did get 4 Republican votes to overturn President Trump's Canadian tariffs. We still have to get this through the House. But I had many more Republicans tell me, you're right, we should be voting with you. We want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's still early in his term. But last night was the first time any Republicans would stand up and cast a vote against Donald Trump in this term. And we just have to keep forcing them over and over again to cast votes of this kind. Do you accept these policies, or do you disown them? it was good to see some of that muscle start to be exercised last night.
Senator, I don't understand your Republican colleagues. Oh, you're right. Well, we'll see. I mean, when are they going to get a backbone? They have constituents who are getting screwed. And it's like, oh, well, whatever the emperor wants, we're going to go ahead and do. They have no courage. They have no conviction. These folks are always talking about being tough. How about to start with the idiot at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
Well, you know, Roland, you asked a good question. When are they going to have a backbone? I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. We have a 2-week Senate recess that comes up around Easter, you know, the week before and the week after Easter. And everybody's going to be back home hearing a whole lot. Just like I traveled around Virginia just 2 weeks back. My small businesses, my farms, my universities, my health clinics, my food banks. I'm hearing from everybody. And I have a feeling this maximum strength tariff regime that he announced yesterday, people are going to hear about it very, very loudly when they're home. And then you may see more because, look, we're going to challenge the tariffs he announced yesterday. We're moving ahead on the Canadian challenge, but the tariffs he announced yesterday, we're going to challenge them too. And we'll likely have a vote on that. We'll be guaranteed a vote on it. It will likely happen shortly after we get back from this recess. And by then, the effects will be felt and my colleagues will have heard from their constituents. And then we'll see, are they willing to show backbone or not?
Explain to people who don't quite understand how it works, how Congress is trying to take this back, because Congress gave a president, and just understand, I don't call him, I don't use the word president related to him because he has no respect for the office. So I'm speaking in general. Congress gave the office of the president the power, but Congress also has the power to say, nope, disagree. We can pass a bill and stop you from doing that.
Yes, Roland, I'm glad to. And you're right. There's sort of two ways to look at this. The Constitution clearly gives Congress the power to deal with trade, not the president. But Congresses of both parties, and this now goes back to right after World War II, started to delegate some powers to the president on trade issues, that the president can do X or Y. The tariffs that the president have imposed against Canada and now yesterday against the world are under a statute that has nothing to do with tariffs. It just says under dire national emergencies, a president can declare an emergency and take certain actions, but those actions can be challenged even by one member standing up and saying, wait a minute, I challenge your emergency. This is a law called IEEPA. It's like the International Economic Emergency Act. It doesn't say anything about tariffs, but it just allows presidents to act in the instance of national emergencies. Roland, this act has only been used against enemies. It's been used against North Korea. It's been used against Russia. It's been used against Iran. It's never been used against friends. So President Trump used it against Canada, Mexico, and China. And I was aware of this quirky little procedure. And so I filed a challenge to President Trump's Canadian tariffs saying, we don't have an emergency with Canada. They're an ally, not an adversary. They're our biggest trading partner. These tariffs are a tax on American consumers. And when the senator files it, it becomes the pending business of the Senate 15 days later. No committee can shut me down, even though I'm in minority. Nobody can kick me to the curb. I get a vote when I challenge a presidential declared emergency. And that's what I got last night. And we held all 47 Democrats. We got 4 Republicans to vote with us. So the Senate has acted to turn off Trump's Canada tariffs. Now, we still have to get it through the House. But you point out a bigger point. Any tariff or any action that the president takes pursuant to this IEEPA statute, we can challenge it, tariff or otherwise. But you raised the bigger point. Why did Congress give this power away to the president? Shouldn't we haul it back? And the answer is, of course we should. And so there's a bill that's introduced today. Senator Grassley of Iowa, Republican, and Maria Cantwell, Democrat of Washington State, to begin to pull these powers back. Rand Paul has a similar bill. And the general format of these bills would be that a president could declare an emergency and take action, but it would be limited to 30 days. And beyond that, it would have to be authorized by Congress. Sometimes there are emergencies under which a president must act promptly, and Congress can be slow to get their act together. But we were not designed to be run by a monarch. We didn't want to have a king that could impose taxes on all of creation by his own say-so. And so we do think there might be some reforms to these trade and emergency laws that will haul power back to Congress.
Just a couple more questions. Your colleague, Senator Cory Booker, broke the record of racist segregationist Strom Thurmond that really captured the attention of lots of people. Frank Luntz, who I frankly blame for a lot of the discord we see today with his polling, said that he was polling at the time some folks, some Democrats, and they said, this is what we want to see. Lots of people have been talking about a need for a change in Senate leadership with Minority Leader Senator Chuck Schumer. But talk about, again, what you're seeing and hearing. I travel this country. Listen, I got a home in Texas, got a home in Virginia. We spend time on the road. I'm in multiple states all the time. And what I keep hearing is, I need to see Democrats pounding tables, fighting, using every single weapon at their disposal to fight and combat this administration.
Yep, and Roland, you're right. And Cory did a fantastic job the other night. I was on the floor with him doing one of those colloquies that lets him lean on a podium for a few minutes while I ask him a question. He did an amazing job. And that's one of the reasons why this maybe isn't as known as it should be. We elected Cory to Senate leadership in January. He is now one of the key, in the key kind of 5 leadership team on the Democratic side, and he really showed it. And his speech really, in my view, it sort of set the framework for what we need to do going forward. No coincidence, the first Senate action after his speech was the vote on my challenge to Donald Trump on his tariffs. I'd filed the challenge about 3 weeks before. It had to ripen and then be the pending business of the Senate. But I didn't wait for permission from the leadership or anybody. I just said, I'm challenging Trump. And I think when you understand what this is about, Democrats, you'll get on board with me, and all did. We just need more people doing what Cory has done, and we need more, filing of these challenges to Trump. In minority, the tools can be limited, but we do have tools. And I hear the same thing you hear, that people want to see fight. We got to, do it in ways that are true to ourselves. But I'm really relishing the opportunity. Look, I delivered Trump his first loss in the United States Senate since he was inaugurated last night by getting some Republicans to join with Democrats. And I got a lot more up my sleeve.
All right, Senator Tim Kaine, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so very much.
All right, I'm going to say hey to your good friend Don Scott when I see him next.
Well, I'm wearing my Texas A&M gear today. He's a graduate of A&M. We both pledged Alpha, same chapter, Pi Omicron, and I made it clear. And he's already hit me. He said, I'm going to need you on the road doing your show, doing some town halls to keep him as Speaker of the House in Virginia. So we look forward to hitting the road and hitting different places around Virginia in the coming months.
We'll watch for you out there. Thanks, Roland.
Thanks a bunch. Folks, I was telling y'all about Fox. If y'all want just some comedy, listen, this is Trump's agriculture secretary. While she's talking, the stock market is plummeting. Watch this.
While certainly the economy will be adjusting, the negotiations will continue. We are really, really excited and very grateful to President Trump's leadership and being willing to be bold and fearless in facing some pretty big policy challenges around the world.
So what is the impact on farmers then?
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, we're negotiating. Now we move into some significant negotiations. I mean, I've got a great chart here.
You can hold your little chart up all you want to. The impact on farmers, y'all getting screwed. Y'all getting screwed. So I don't want to hear all this. I need y'all to understand, these people are cracking me up, and all of those MAGA loving farmers, hey, all I have for y'all is Scarface's No Tears. This is what y'all wanted. Y'all voted for this fool. Y'all are getting every single thing that y'all wanted by voting for this despicable man. Y'all are going broke. Y'all lost money last time. I need everybody who's watching to understand something. The American taxpayer had to spend $25 billion for farmers last time because Donald Trump invoked his tariffs. There were folk who were sitting here filing for bankruptcy. In fact, I remember this one story, just so y'all know how crazy these people are. There was this one dude who literally lost a family farm and said, yeah, I would still support Trump again. It's a cult, and they're crazy, and they're nonsensical. Now, if y'all want some more laughter, here is that dunce of a press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, on News Nation saying, there's not going to be any pain, no suffering from Donald Trump and our economy. Watch.
Well, first of all, Markey, I just want to address that yesterday was a great day for our country, and President Trump delivered on a campaign promise that he made to the 80 million American voters who elected him to this highest office, a promise that many presidents before him for decades refused to deliver upon. This is a national emergency. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. We've had 90,000 factories closed across our heartland. We've had 5 million manufacturing jobs go overseas since 1997. And President Trump is finally doing something about it by implementing these reciprocal tariffs. It's the golden rule for the golden age of America. As for prices and what the American public can expect, they can expect price stability. They can expect to buy American. It's a patriotic thing to do. And most importantly, they can expect their wages to go up. We know that in President Trump's first term, wages went up by $6,500 per person. And that's because of the whole of government economic approach that this administration is taking, effectively implementing tariffs while also...
This won't be painful at all for American people and consumers, Caroline?
It's going to be, there's not going to be any pain for American-owned companies and American workers because their jobs are going to come back home. And again, as for prices, President Trump is working on tax cuts to put more money back into the pockets of Americans. He is working on massive deregulatory effort, which we know has already saved American taxpayers millions of dollars in just 2 months. And we're all...
There's a phrase that folk use for people like her. Girl, bye. All you heard there was gaslighting. All you heard there were just lies. And see, I love it how now Trump, yeah, the stock market don't matter. Oh, yeah, but it mattered when Biden was there. I hope y'all see how the game they play, the moving of the goalpost, and how media plays right along with it. Stock market cratering, 401ks getting battered, companies announcing layoffs. Hell, CNBC, Jim Cramer is just losing his mind over the craziness going on. And these people kind of like, well, I mean, everything's fine, everything's good. Y'all just go ahead and, it's just, the pain is not going to be bad. In fact, let me see if I can find this clip. Scott Bassett, who is the Treasury Secretary, this fool literally says, y'all, when I heard this, I couldn't believe it. He actually said to the other countries, don't y'all do nothing. Y'all bet not say nothing. You bet not respond. Really? And this was interesting. He's talking to us, Caitlin Collins of CNN. And when she asked him about this, he's like, well, the companies, they don't have to pass the increase in tariffs on to the customers. Watch this.
It looks obviously that's the president's ambitious agenda, but on the argument of short-term pain, long-term gain, which it seems what you're arguing about the long-term, what this will look like, prices will go up for Americans in the short term, right?
They could. They don't have to.
And that's if they don't have to. You're arguing if businesses do not pass those on to those consumers.
Well, and the President Trump's first administration, prices didn't go up, so the businesses don't have to pass them on, or the producers in the other countries can eat the tariffs, and traditionally the dollar adjusts. So it's a very complicated calculus to see where we end up.
Yeah, and of course these are
they don't have to increase prices. And the countries, they could eat the tariffs. You the Treasury Secretary? You supposed to be a financial whiz? He worth more than $500 million? And saying bullshit like that? Everybody named Mama knows what's gonna happen. Prices are going to go up. If you put tariffs on wood, drywall, you're gonna pay more for a house. I couldn't stand algebra and geometry in school, but I damn sure know how to count. These people are insane, and they have no problem wrecking this country and following a plumb idiot, and they want us to believe that Donald Trump is some smart person when it comes to the economy. You've got to be kidding. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. He joins us right here every Thursday. Glad to have Greg. First of all, back at the home studio, because Greg was on the street last week. He was on the street kicking it with us last week. Glad to have him, Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. We'll be joined by Robert Patillo, civil rights attorney, radio show host out of Atlanta, joining us in a second. Greg, these folks, the cult is real. And we've said this many times before. We've said it. White folk are going to have to experience maximum pain for them to possibly wake up. Like, we get it. We know how we voted. They gonna have to get hit in all corners to then realize, yeah, that wasn't a good idea putting that fool back in. You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
I said, thank you, brother. You're right. You're absolutely right. And that pain won't be enough. History has shown us the pain won't be enough. The Democrats cut in half the margin by which the 2 seats that were in special elections in Florida a couple of days ago were lost by when the previous occupants were there, but they still didn't win. They beat back Elon Musk in Milwaukee, but the simple fact of the matter is there's still too many people in this country who don't care. I think the real story here we have is really about the world and the United States of America. All of us who live here, and of course we've been saying this all along, we don't just live in a world where there's only the United States. We live in a globe. A couple of days ago, South Korea, China met together with Japan. South Korea and Japan in the same room, and they said, we're going to have a joint response to these tariffs. Vietnam, Nike stock lost $250 billion since this thing hit, and much of their manufacturing is in Vietnam. So what's going to happen there? Now, these MAGA people saying the jobs are coming back, like Propaganda Barbie and all that. That's beautiful. Your MAGA friends getting ready to work for $5 a day? I don't think so. France is saying, Macron said today, European companies should not be investing in the United States. Remember that the trade deficit works the other way with the EU, because the United States has a trade deficit with the European Union when it comes to services rather than goods. So this is not a dance that's going to be happy. In Brazil, they're saying we're not picking a side. Why? Because we got enough markets to serve. They are one of the main food suppliers in the world. And of course, we saw today the stock market is crashing everywhere, the stock market in the U.S. being the worst hit. They don't care. And I was interesting listening to you talk with Senator Kaine, because there's a long article just came out in the New Yorker, David Kirkpatrick, writing about the man they're calling the invisible man. That's John Thune, the leader in the Senate. They're going to have some difficult choices to make in the months coming ahead. And those choices are going to have to center around whether or not you're going to stand by while one clown and his billionaire owners drag the United States of America into a multipolar world that they were going to go into anyway, but he's pressed the acceleration button. The world's getting ready to leave the United States behind. And I, for one, am not going to really shed a lot of tears.
No tears, Nola, no tears.
So Greg kind of like broke down some of the international stuff, and I actually have some data that was recently released from Navigator. It's very interesting, specifically looking at tariffs. And so I just want to kind of like run through a few important facts here. So overall, Americans find tariffs 53% unfavorable. It's no surprise that 81% of Democrats find it unfavorable. Now, the interesting number here are the independents, which is at 49%. Nor will it be surprising that only 26% of Republicans find the tariffs unfavorable. Now, what's very interesting is they also polled some strong Trump supporters, and 41% of not strong approvers say that tariffs are unfavorable. That is a 5% loss. So in different categories, depending on how you're looking at these stats, there are gains, and then there are also losses for the Republicans, right? So when you're looking at a number like 41% who don't strongly approve of the tariffs, who voted for Trump in 24, they lost 5% of those voters, right? So, and when you look at independents, which is a number that's really standing out here, 49% of them disagree, which is a 34-point loss. So these are some very interesting numbers as people are being more educated about tariffs and how they will impact their pocket, their kitchen tables, their small businesses, products that we buy from around the world. There was a conversation just last night in the foreign policy community about the tariffs that were hitting today from China. And as we all know, many of the things, especially saying something like fast fashion, which is a huge market, your clothes, your makeup, all of those things are going to have higher price tags. So the things you're not even thinking about, if you still shop at Sephora, Black women, I hope not, but you're running to go grab your MAC or you're going to go grab your Fenty, all of those prices are going to go up, right? So people are going to start feeling these effects very soon. And listening to you talk to Senator Kaine, what I found interesting in that conversation is this idea of, oh, everything's, going to be fine. That's what the cult is saying, right? To me, these people don't seem like they love America a whole bunch. The way they run around talking about their patriots and left and this, that, and the third, they seem intent on destroying this country. All the things that Senator Kaine laid out in my security brain tells me that is a bad actor. That person is working against the U.S. I'm sorry, Roland.
Well, actually, that was Robert. You heard Robert coming on. He just joined us. Robert, we had Senator Tim Kaine talking about these tariffs, and it's hilarious listening to these right-wingers act as if, oh, well, it's just some short-term pain. You're just going to have to deal with it. They wasn't saying deal with no short-term pain with Biden-Harris.
Roland, they
were yelling, happy days are here again.
Roland, this is not short-term pain, and I want people to understand that. This is not a blip. This is not a one-day market fall. If you look back at what happened when the United States passed the Smoot-Hawley tariffs in the 1930s, it caused the Great Depression. This is how economics work. That as we've seen, the European nations in the EU said that last year they began the process of Trump-proofing their economy and the expectation that this may come. They have already begun the process of petitioning Canada to join the EU as a new trading partner to go around the United States marketplace. If you look at what's going on in the developing world, if you look at the tariffs that he put on Africa and other nations, this is pushing them closer to China than the Belt and Road Initiative ever could have, because their markets understand that they can no longer depend on the United States to be the place where they send their goods. So when we're talking about how long it will take to fix this, it may be decades to dig our way out of this hole that President Trump is putting himself into. And this was in Project 2025 when they talked about resetting U.S. trade relations, when they talked about changing the global trade assets. And for people who are looking at that chart that President Trump put up yesterday saying XYZ country is charging us 90% tariffs and we're putting a 34% tariff on them, that sort of thing. Those numbers are made up. Just so you understand, those numbers are imaginary. Look at the World Bank numbers, look at the World Economic Forum numbers on exactly what the effective tariff rates are that exist. The tariff rate from the EU to the U.S., which President Trump claims is at close to 60%, is measured to be at 0.2%. All that he is currently doing is intentionally wrecking the U.S. economy so that he can make it cheap enough for those billionaires who are lined up in inauguration to be able to buy up the rest of the American economy at bargain basement prices. That's the only way that this makes sense. And this is in no way, shape, or form something that is either economically cognizable or even historically cognizable in any form, whether it's mercantilism, Keynesian economics, Friedman. You can go down the lines. No one says this is a good idea. So the best thing people can do, learn how to purify rainwater. If you and your friends have a bunker that you can go to and bug out, be prepared for that. We are entering the times we warned you about, or as Roland would say, we tried to tell you.
That's right. Now, the point Robert just made there, I need everybody who's listening, who's watching and listening to understand what I'm saying. When you drive the economy down, people panic. Folks start selling. Do you know what rich folks do? They start buying. They start buying. So what Donald Trump is doing, he's purposely wrecking the economy. And do you know who's sitting there smiling? The sharks, the predators, the Kevin O'Learys, the oligarchs. They're sitting here going, we can grab up tech stocks a lot cheaper. We can grab up textiles a lot cheaper. That's what this is all about. Game, recognize game. And all of y'all's working class people and all of you fools like the fool from Compton who gonna hit me, oh man, we had money in our pockets when Trump was there. Your ass ain't gonna have none of that now. And y'all gonna be singing the blues. Oh, and guess what? There will be no government safety net to save your ass because Elon took care of that too. Y'all got played, but we tried to tell you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Boy, these racists, they sure are emboldened by this idiot Donald Trump. Take the ex-husband of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Perry Greene, driving his trash-ass dumpster known as the Cybertruck. These Muslim women are praying, and he decides to verbally attack them. Y'all want to see just despicable? Yep, this is the trash that Marjorie Taylor Greene said I do to.
That's really good. Don't go back to your country because y'all believe in crazy. Question your authority. Go back to your country, please. Okay. We don't hold y'all. That's perfect. Thank you. Yes. We don't want any Muslims. Okay. Thank you. No one brought anything to your brother. It doesn't matter. I'm bringing it to you. I don't want your shit. Oh. Nobody really wants your shit here. Did we bother you personally, though? Yes, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. You can. But see, like, y'all want to kill gays. Y'all want to do all kind of crazy. Where y'all from? What country? It doesn't matter where we're from. It does not, though. Why does it matter to you, though? It does because you're worshiping a false god. No. Yes, it is. Are you Christian? All right, that's. Question thinking the shit's okay. American. Don't come from your crazy countries and act like you're gonna bring your shit here. Okay. Cool, bro. No. Because y'all are pieces of shit. Okay, that's perfect. You're the one attacking little girls. Have a nice day. Girls, like I want y'all to think about what y'all's process is, what y'all are thinking. Y'all been brainwashed. We know what we believe. But don't come to America and believe this shit. Go back to your country and believe you're crazy. Okay, so that's fine. No one told you anything. We're sitting here. We were quiet. We were peaceful. You're worshiping out here. Praying. What does that have anything to do with you? Go back to your country. That's fine. You're demolished Middle East. First off, we're actually born here. We're born here. Yes, we were. Why are you wearing all this shit? You're not American. It doesn't matter. Be American. Don't nuns wear covering themselves? Be American. Don't be Afghani or whatever the not even we're not Afghani. You're literally racist. You just it doesn't matter. Use the racist word, but be American. Don't be okay. I'm sorry if it's not on your standard, you can go ahead and leave. I don't know why you're wasting your time. Okay, then if you don't care so much, you can go ahead and enjoy your day. Okay. Because your countries are so where y'all are from is so from here. Go back to your I can call the cops. If you're gonna keep around, that's fine. What are you gonna call them about? Just go about your day. What's the point? Are you gonna follow us? What's the point? I'm trying to get out. Do you want to learn about our religion? Go back to your country. Have a good day. Have a good day. That's okay. That's okay. Just leave him alone. Go have a good day, bro. Oh my God.
They are praying, minding their business, not sitting here, and this racist, go back to your country. See, this is what I need people to understand. We talk about this country. When we talk about how people view this country, y'all have heard me say this before. There's a movie called The Under Shepherd. And The Under Shepherd was directed by Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro starred in The Under Shepherd, along with Matt Damon. And in this movie, it is based upon a fictionalized version of the creation of the CIA and how the CIA was created by these white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and how these white men, the Dulles brothers, how they established this secret society coming out of Skulls and Bones to create the CIA. And there's a particular scene in this movie where Matt Damon and Joe Pesci are talking, and Damon's character goes to see Joe Pesci, and he's trying to get the mob's help. And this is loosely tied to Castro, trying to get the mob's help to assassinate Castro, which actually happened in real life. And in the scene, they're talking, and Pesci poses a question. He poses a question to Matt Damon. And in this exchange, if you want to see what America is all about, if you really want to understand what these people actually think about non-white people, we played for y'all, I guess it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. We played the clip of J.D. Vance, where J.D. Vance was talking about these European values. Oh, and if you come in, you got to have the right, view of America. See, people like him. See, I know somebody may be saying, "Oh man, that dude was a racist there." Oh yeah, he's a racist. But understand, the racism that he is projecting, that racism is coming from a particular place. And for these people, how they view this nation, they view everybody who is not white as other. They don't view black people. They don't view Latinos, and they don't view Muslims. They don't view any of these people as full Americans. No, their view is, you ain't one of us. See, that's why they are so quick to tell us, go back to where you came from. That's why they're so quick. You don't like it? You can leave. They love using that language because, see, in their minds, this is theirs. In their mind, this is all theirs. That's how they view this. I'm gonna play this clip in a second. But that political sense, that's how they view. This ain't out of the ordinary. This is how they behave, and there's no shock that Marjorie Taylor Greene was attracted to that.
Well, they have something in common, so we can't be surprised about that, Roland. They have a lot in common, them too. Remember when David Perdue said that to Stacey Abrams when she first ran, I think, for governor? And remember, I don't know if you all know, but Abraham Lincoln, after the war, he told, black folks, hey, you go back somewhere. I forgot what he said, go back to.
No, actually, Abraham wanted. Listen, it was Liberia. That was Liberia, and he held that view because he said that I just don't believe that these two sides are going to be able to get along, and so he articulated shipping black folk back to Africa. Right. Yeah.
But it's funny, but this was after the war, right? This was after the war, he says that. Well, we don't need y'all anymore. But like they said, they responded, no, this is our country. This is where we're from. And beneath is our ancestors. It's our ancestors. So, I mean, I would have said something. I'm pretty sure I wonder if this was during Ramadan, because that just ended. But I would have looked at his ass and I would have said, I will go to my country when you take your ass to your country first. That's what I would have said.
See, it reminds me,
puzzled because he doesn't have a damn country.
Eugene, it reminds me of Patrick Bet-David when I was on his podcast and he tells me, well, why do I go back to my neighborhood and fix things? And I'm like, looking at him going, your ass ain't even from here. Why don't you take your ass back to Iran?
Yes. I saw that.
It's the audacity and caucasity, right? They say, to the point of MTG's, I guess, husband, ex-husband. They say, there's no more reflection of who you are than the person you decide to marry, because marriage is probably the ultimate business. That aside, the audacity and the caucasity. These folk that, think that they just have infinite dominion over wherever they are and over whomever is around. Black folk, native folk, folk of color built this land, point blank period, and are still building this land, point blank period. And the thing is this, like I said, I'll go back to wherever when you go back to wherever. But at the end of the day, the result that neither of us are going to go anywhere. So, you could just stay your happy ass over there away from me and my people, and we call it a day. Keep it civil, keep it peaceful.
Well, I just want, again, we know who these races are. We know what they sound like. We know how they think. We know how they act, how they appear. We know all of that. But Zabor, to sit there and watch this man just attack them because they have a different religion, when, fool, we have freedom of religion for a reason.
No, but it just shows you their lack of respect for the Constitution. When
No. They don't. They love the second. They can't stay in the first.
No, it's so.
They love the second. They don't like the first.
When it comes to us, this is why our community paying attention is so important. They're attacking birthright citizenship. They're saying in this, how he's moving is the exact reason of why we got to stay vigilant. If they attacking birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment and they're trying to put holes in that aspect of the Constitution, then you see them doing things like this and that rhetoric is pushed to the front. That's not Christianity. That's not the faith I know. You know what I mean? It's like you are ignoring humanity in people. You are ignoring loving your neighbor. And nobody's from here. We were brought here. They stole here. It's like, how dare you tell somebody that they're not from America? You don't know those people. And everything about our country has been built on the backs of people that are not from here. There is no country without Black people and the inventions we have, the work we do, the blood, sweat, and tears that build the houses and the White Houses that they get to be in. So it just really irritates me that they use faith to justify hatred. Those young ladies wasn't doing nothing. That old white man that has no couth, no respect, and attacked a person while they're praying, but you say you are of God and you're a Christian. Like, how that?
So the movie is The Good Shepherd, and I'm telling you, if y'all are looking for an example that encapsulate America in 1 minute and 7 seconds, and actually if you actually edit it, it's really 47 seconds. It's this.
The government's about to deport you for certain activities.
I'm in this country since I'm 2 months old. Does that make me Italian? I'm American. And they're trying to send me back?
I could have the deportation order reviewed. Have you classified as highly sensitive for national security? I could take the government off your back if you can help us.
Usually the guys that scare me. You're the people that make big wars.
No, we make sure the wars are small ones, Mr. Palm.
Let me ask you something. We Italians, we got our families and we got the church. The Irish, they have the homeland. The Jews, their tradition. Even the niggers, they got their music. What about you? people, Mr. Carlson. What do you have?
The United States of America. The rest of you are just visiting.
That's exactly how they think. The rest of you, this is ours.
Yep.
The rest of you are just visiting. Pull up my book. Understand something, y'all. The reason why I chose this photo for my book, White Fear, this photo is from January 6th. This white man's arm is outstretched. This photo signifies all of this is ours. And that literally is how they operate. And they feel as if they have the right to roll up on a few Muslim women praying, minding their own business, to accost them and say, go back somewhere else. That's why they believe they have the right to roll up on somebody black barbecuing in the park saying, you can't barbecue here. They think that they have the right to roll up on a black man who's working for UPS or FedEx delivering packages saying you can't be in this neighborhood. They really believe that they have the right to walk up to you and ask, why are you in my neighborhood? Let me see you. They believe that they can just ask you, show me your address to prove that you belong in my neighborhood. And they believe that when they see us, especially being a black man, and if we wearing some university gear, they don't even first think, did we graduate from there? They instantly think, did we play ball? Or like one white dude asked me, did I play ball at Texas A&M? I said no. His second question was, did I have a child that played at A&M? Y'all, it took every ounce of Jesus when you had to cuss his ass out. I was like,
I would have did.
Literally like, like it took all of Jesus for me not to go there, because in their minds, they don't even think, oh, that might be a graduate. They don't think that. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get to this here. Man, there was some white folks, y'all, on Twitter, and they whine and complain, and Charlie Kirk got involved. My son got high grades, and he didn't get into his first choice, the top schools, or the second choice. And these white folks really believe that their children can just go to any school, that they should never be rejected, that all of that, and they automatically think it got to be them. It got to be them. They never consider, no, your kid lost out to some other white folk. So I am going to spend a little time walking through the timeline. You know, I was trolling their asses because see, y'all, I am the pettiest member of my family, but my family members can be petty too. Like my the oldest sister, she was with a group of moms, and she was sharing with them that my nephew, her son, had gotten accepted to Seton Hall. And so one of the white moms said, well, you know, my blonde-haired daughter, you know, she's not gonna get, you know, a scholarship like that. And my sister said, well, baby, we were at the welcome reception. There's a whole bunch of people who look like your daughter who were there, who were blonde-haired. She said, so maybe your daughter needs to study a little bit harder.
Hey, there you go.
Meritocracy, right? They gotta work harder. They gotta pull themselves up by their bootstraps, right? This is a meritocracy. We don't care about DEI. That's what they say, huh? Until they realize they are the DEI hire, right? They the ones that are not qualified. They are the they not even DEI hires. See, you could be a so-called DEI hire. You still got to have a resume.
Yep.
Oh no. They are absolutely white privilege hires. It don't even matter. So I had a ball just hitting them back, and I'm saying all of you should be downloading Scarface's song "No Tears."
What you know about that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where is Scar? Where? Hold on. I'm confused. I'm confused.
Black girl
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Somebody act. Wait, you gonna actually say?
This kind of girl, you know, you from the other side.
How you gonna sit here and say what I know about Scarface's Scarface?
What say about it?
I'm on a show and I just mentioned your song No Tears. You hear me?
That's your favorite song. You always listen to No Tears.
Dude, and I mentioned it and one of my panelists go, what you know about that song?
Y'all, he called Scarface, y'all.
First of all, but she don't. No tears in the end. And what she don't understand, I'm so petty. I played golf with Scarface, y'all. Scarface was talking a whole lot of trash. And I played golf with Scarface, and I was beating him. And you know what I put on for him? No Tears. He said, "You hit me with my." He said, "You hit me with my own damn song."
I just tell him.
All right, my brother. I'm gonna hit you back.
All right, baby.
All right, peace.
That was so bad.
Baby, don't ever. I don't know who you thought you were talking to.
I said, y'all, he called Scarface.
I mean, I was just checking your temperature, seeing where your head was at.
Right.
Baby, I'm the last one you ever want to check.
I know.
I stand corrected, no problem.
No, baby, this the super phone.
I ain't mad at it.
You throw some names out, I can FaceTime in them heartbeat. I'm just letting you know. So I am the last one. I'm the last one you want to say that to. All right, we got to go.
I am dead on that one.
Somebody said.
That's later in the night.
They in the chat said, "Girl, you lost that one."
Quickly, right?
Yes, she
Too
did.
fast.
Whoever said it in the chat, yes.
Another dude said, "Man, he got dude on speed dial on them folks."
Speed dial.
And El Crispy, Uncle Rose said, "Pull up." See, y'all better leave me alone. See, y'all.
There you go. There you go.
Said pull up.
Y'all better leave me alone. All right, we got to go.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
I appreciate the speaker for admitting openly on the record that it is unconstitutional. But the concerns that I have are around the fact that we are sitting here pretending as if we all are looking out for the Constitution, yet we are coming from completely different angles. So let me go to Professor Shaw. To be clear, which branch of government is responsible for interpreting what is and what is not legal?
Well, the Supreme Court, the Article 3 judicial branch has the final word.
So the judiciary is who it is. So it's not the legislators.
You know, I'd say every branch has an obligation to interpret the Constitution. The final word comes from the courts.
From the courts. It's not the former speakers. It's not everyday people. It's not the president. I just wanted to make sure that we understood who it was that was responsible. And what is so frustrating for so many of the American people, the ones that are watching right now and otherwise, And the reason that they're outraged and scared is because what we see right now is a diminishing of all these institutions. Right now, we have a legislative branch that has decided that it intentionally would disregard their duties. They are not checking the president whatsoever. The only check that the American people have had thus far has been from the judiciary. And the judiciary isn't pulling this out of the sky. In fact, they are coming from basic reading of like the plain language of the Constitution for all of those that are constitutionalists when we start talking about things such as what birthright citizenship is. But one of the things that I want to make sure that I get to, because there are deeper implications if we go down this rabbit hole. Imagine the type of world where the president does whatever he wants to and no one can rein him in. It's a world that right now many people are afraid of. Let me put it this way. If Joe Biden would have done an executive order for abortion, despite what the Supreme Court said, that would have been a problem. Imagine if the state of Colorado kept Trump off the ballot and other states follow suit. That would have been a problem. Or imagine if Jack Smith ignored Eileen Cannon and with the help of an activist judge decided that he was going to prosecute the sitting president anyway. The problem that we have right now is that if we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law, because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge did. Thank you, and I yield.
Folks, you've heard me say this time and time again, and I'll say it right now. Ain't no millionaires and billionaires contributing to our show. Even the black ones. Do you have major advertisers who are spending their ad dollars with us? Absolutely not. Because the agencies say that, well, we don't do news. We can't do news. But I see these ads on Fox News. I see the ads on CNN. I see them on MSNBC. And there were people who literally said, oh, no, this ain't going to work. This is going to fail. Here we are 6 years and 4 months later. 1.58 million followers, started with 157,000. But it's also because of our fan base who contributed. 10,000 people watching live just on YouTube. More on our app, more on YouTube and the other places where we stream. And it's a lot of people, and they're people who I know personally, people who call and ask me to do favors, who don't even contribute to the show. There are people I've seen on social media talk about how we got to build our own ecosystem, support our own, who don't actually do it. My man Michael Harriet used to be with The Root, launched something called Contraband Camp. Last night, I signed up, $59.99 for a year. Because I can't say we need more black media, and I can't say that, but then I don't actually support it. Other people who I've actually poured into, invested in. So when I ask you to join us, there are people who are in our YouTube chat who are joining in. We don't charge a subscription fee. There's no minimum amount we charge you, because the goal that we wanted is for this to be open so people can be able to access it. I was walking through the Atlanta airport when I arrived on Tuesday and I left on Wednesday, and so many brothers and sisters stopped me and they said, man, I'm watching your show, I'm listening to the podcast. Thank you, keep going, keep going, keep going. But y'all, I say it all the time, we cannot keep going if we can't fund it. The lease of our office is up next year. It's going to be an increase. When we talk about staff, there are some positions that we would love to fill. Today, we actually shot 2 pilots of a show that I would love to launch, and we're going to run those shows in the next 2 weeks. There are 2 of the shows that we're planning pilots on. That's going to cost money for the people producing and working it and for the people who are hosting the show. Because I'm not saying please work for free. But we are not going to be able to have voices that speak for us if we don't support those platforms. So I do what I'm asking you to do. I literally support other black-owned media platforms because we need more of the voices than just me. I'm just one person. But I want to create Black Star Network to create more Black Stars. I want to be able for us to have 6, 8, 10 different shows hosted by Millennial, Gen Z, and other Gen Xers. I tried to do a show with a Generation Alpha, but the ask of, his daddy was so outlandish that I said, there's no way I can even do that. But there are others who I'm looking at. Oh, yes. When I travel the country, I'm paying attention. And I'm looking at people who are 12 and 14 and 15 years old and watching them saying, how can I support what they're doing and build the next generation? So when we ask you to support us, when I say we want 20,000 people on average giving $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, y'all, that's $1 million. That $1 million from those folks is huge. Brother hit me today. He said, man, I've been talking about contributing. He said, I finally did it today. He contributed $250. There's some other people I saw, they contributed $10. Somebody contributed $1.08. That 8 cents matters just like it was $800. It all adds up. So what we do here is what nobody else in Black-owned media is doing. We are trying to build a network of multiple voices that will speak to our people in a way to serve as giving the clarion call to justice, to truth, to honesty, to decency. The people who are going to cast the vision. And we need you to say, like the people did to Nehemiah, let us rebuild. I would love for all the people who are watching, would love for today for us to raise $100,000. If 2,000 people gave $50, and there's 10,000 of y'all on YouTube right now, we hit that easy. You can't give us direct on the Cash App because they shut down our accounts. So you can use Stripe. This is the QR code. I posted the link directly in the YouTube chat. But if you want to use Cash App for Stripe, it's right here. This QR code, if you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. If you want to give via PayPal, PayPal is paypal.me/rmartinunfiltered. Venmo is venmo.com/rmunfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com, roland@rolandmartinunfiltered.com. If you want to be old school, send your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Well, it's one thing you can always count on is for the twice impeached, racist, criminally convicted felon in chief to do all he can to attack black people. So last night, Chief Dumbass issued 2 executive orders. This is the first executive order making the District of Columbia safe and beautiful. Now, remember, they've already screwed us when it came to Black Lives Matter Plaza, okay? They've already screwed us. In fact, I mean, just so you understand, you know, in terms of what these folks have done, is just, I mean, it's just an abomination what they've done. Actually, come back to me. I'm gonna scroll in a second. What they've done is abomination. You know, I was outside. I'm gonna do this here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to, just so y'all know, this is what the latest is, and how they've just completely chopped up, and just messed up 16th Street, which actually leads to the White House. You know, Republicans forced the District of Columbia to spend, you know, almost $1 million tearing up the streets because they did not like Black Lives Matter being on the street. It was a monument that was created. And so as a result, I shot these photos yesterday. Give me a second. I'm connecting on my iPad so you can see what it looks like. And again, these so-called fiscal conservatives, let me say it again, so-called fiscal conservatives demanded that Washington, D.C. do this. This is what it looks like right now. That right there, it's going to take, so that it wasn't just painted. They literally built it. You know, into the ground. So they sat there, and that's it right there. And you know, just so you understand, you know, this is the road that leads to the White House. If I zoom in, you will see that is the White House right there. And so you know, these folks, these Republicans, they force the district, threaten to withhold transportation money from the district if they did not follow their orders. They made them do this. They did not care. They don't care. They didn't ask the people of Washington, D.C. It does not matter for them. Hey, we control Congress, so therefore we control your purse strings. So you know what? We gonna make y'all do whatever we want y'all to do. I also shot some video. Give me 1 second. I want to show that to y'all as well, because I mean, and it's just a damn shame how these people are operating. And so they want to totally control Washington, D.C. They want to force the mayor of D.C., force the city council to be on bended knee to whatever they want. This is the video that I shot of them also working on the street, tearing it up. So that's what's going on here in the nation's capital. And so here's what Trump did, y'all. So you see right here, he says, let's see here, blah, blah, blah. He wants to talk about how it needs to be clean and well kept. So you see right here, fighting crime, what's going to happen right here. My administration shall work closely with local officials to share information, develop joint priorities, maximize resources to make the District of Columbia safe. And so he's listing all these departments, creating these task force as well. You see right here, task force shall coordinate to ensure effective federal participation in the following tasks: directing maximum enforcement of federal immigration law, redirecting available federal, state, and local law enforcement resources to apprehend and deport illegal aliens, monitor the District of Columbia's sanctuary city status and compliance, provide assistance to facilitate the prompt and complete accreditation of the D.C. Forensic Crime Laboratory. Also, in collaboration with his leadership and union, providing MPD with assistance to facilitate the recruitment, retention, and capabilities of its police officers. And it goes on and on and on. And so you see deploying a more robust federal law enforcement presence and coordinating with local law enforcement to facilitate the deployment of a more robust law enforcement. They just repeat shit they don't even read executive orders. They just repeat stuff. Okay, so you look at all the different parks or whatever. Then you see here, make the Secretary of the Interior is going to make the District of Columbia beautiful. And so blah, blah, remove graffiti from commonly visited areas, blah, 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 general provisions, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's when it relates to D.C. Then, of course, it also was about the Smithsonian. So here's what they did. They then called this Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. That's what this is called, okay? Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. So they sit here and they write that over the past decade, Americans have witnessed a concerted and widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history, replacing objective facts with a distorted narrative driven by ideology rather than truth. Oh, the revisionist movement seeks to undermine the remarkable achievements of the United States by casting its founding principles and historical milestones in a negative light. Under the historical revision, our nation's unparalleled legacy of advancing liberty, individual rights, and human happiness is reconstructed as inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, or otherwise irredeemably flawed. All Donald Trump. Rather than fostering unity and a deeper understanding of our shared past, the widespread effort to rewrite history deepens societal divides and fosters a sense of national shame, disregarding the progress America has made and the ideals that continue to inspire millions around the globe. So what does he do? So watch this here. So he talks about once widely respected as a symbol of American excellence and a global icon of cultural achievement, the Smithsonian Institution has in recent years come under the influence of a divisive, race-centered ideology. This shift has promoted narratives that portray American and Western values, white, as inherently harmful and oppressive. For example, the Smithsonian American Art Museum today features The Shape of Power, Stories of Race and American Sculpture, an exhibit representing that, quote, societies, including the United States, have used race to establish and maintain systems of power, privilege, and disenfranchisement. Not a lie told, not one. The exhibit further claims that sculpture has become a powerful tool in promoting scientific racism and promotes the view that race is not a biological reality, but a social construct, stating race is a human invention. But it is. And then here we go. The National Museum of African American History and Culture has proclaimed that, quote, hard work, individualism, and the nuclear family are aspects of white culture. So here we go with this nonsense. So what do? Say the Smithsonian, so he's going to put Vice President J.D. Vance over this whole deal. They want to change the structure of the Board of Regents. You see right here, it goes on and on and on, on and on and on. Restoring Independence Hall, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and here we go. Section 4, Restoring Truth in American History. The Secretary of the Interior shall, quote, determine whether since January 1st, 2020, public monuments, memorials, statues, markers, or similar properties within the Department of Interior's jurisdiction have been removed or changed to perpetuate a false reconstruction of American history, inappropriately minimize the value of certain historical events or figures, or include any other improper partisan ideology. And here's where it comes. Let's bring back the white power symbols. He wants him to take action to reinstate the pre-existing monuments, memorials, statues, markers, or similar properties as appropriate and consistent with blah, 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 blah. Y'all, all this is about is how do we bring back whiteness? How do we bring back white culture, white dominance? That's all this is, Michael. It's abundantly clear.
Absolutely. And this is something we were warning people about before the election. But this goes back. So first of all, I read the fact sheet on this executive order that Donald Trump did on Thursday. This goes back to his first term in office when Donald Trump attacked the 1619 Project and said basically it was anti-American, said he didn't know anything about the year 1619. He said he knew about 1776. He created the 1776 Project, which created a ahistorical version of history. He also attacked critical race theory. And he was attacking critical race theory. He did an executive order in September 2020 that banned the use of critical race theory in training for federal employees. This was 6 months before Christopher Rufo started publicly his tweets, really attacking critical race theory. So, and then you see him talking about in the past 5 years, renaming monuments, things of that nature. He's talking about the racial reckoning that took place after the killing of George Floyd in this country that spread all across the country. And we've been talking about how there's going to be a white backlash to that whole Black Lives Matter movement. And this is what we're seeing right now. And he's talking about going after the funding, because part of this talks about prohibiting funding for exhibits or programs that degrade shared American values, divide Americans by race, or promote ideologies inconsistent with federal law. And he's talking about the Smithsonian Institute, their exhibits, et cetera, the African American Museum. So this is a direct attack, a continued attack on African American history, but also going after the funding that funds these exhibits also. So this is on top of removing Executive Order 11246, was affirmative action. This is on top of revoking Executive Order 13985 from the Biden administration, which dealt with equity when it came to the different federal agencies, things of this nature. So this is devastating, but we're going to have to fight this as well.
Derek, let's go back to June 11th, 2020. And if you go to my iPad, this is from NPR. Congress heads towards clash with Trump over removal of Confederate symbols. And so, here we go right here. Okay, the Republican-led Senate Armed Services Committee, let me get rid of this, adopted an amendment that will create a commission charged with renaming Army installations that bear Confederate names and removing their Confederate symbols. Okay? Now remember, the House had already voted to purge the Capitol of Confederate statues. And so here we go, we got more. And so the reality is, the Republicans did not want to do it. Okay? You see right here, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell noted that the statues in the Capitol come from the 50 states. He argued they should decide which ones they send to Washington. Every state is allowed 2 statues. They can trade them out at any time. I think that's the appropriate way to deal with the statue issue. The states make that decision. Well, we already know racist states like Mississippi love their Confederate symbols. Okay, so look at this here. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said on Thursday he isn't opposed to renaming military installations. Other Republicans said they too were open to moving ahead with the process at the federal level to remove the old Confederate names. Guess what? Trump was not happy. You see right here, the White House dug in this week on standing by the current names of a number of Army bases named for Confederate commanders, including Robert E. Lee, who commanded the Confederate Army, Braxton Bragg, and others. Trump wrote on Twitter on Wednesday that he considered the door closed to renaming military installations after Defense Secretary Mark Esper had appeared to open it, and Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany reiterated that the administration believes the name should stay. Now, just in case I need to remind y'all of what this was like, listen to the racist language that was used, because I just want y'all to understand. And oh, by the way, she's now an anchor at Fox News. Listen. All right, trying to get to play here, so give me 1 second. See, y'all, these folks here, it's real clear who they are. It's real clear what they stand for. It's real clear who they actually represent. All right, here we go. Listen to this.
Fort Bragg is known for the heroes within it that trained there, that deployed from there, and it's an insult to say to the men and women who left there the last thing they saw on American soil before going overseas, and in some cases losing their lives, to tell them that what they left was inherently a racist institution because of a name. That's unacceptable to the president, and rightfully so. And I would also note, where do you draw the line here? I'm told that no longer can you find on HBO Gone with the Wind because somehow that is now offensive. Where do you draw the line? Should George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison be erased from history? What about FDR and because of internment camps? Should he be erased from history, or Lyndon Johnson, who has a history of documented racist statements? And finally, what about people that are alleged by the media to be segregationists? NBC tells us Joe Biden didn't just compromise with segregationists, he fought for their causes in schools, experts say. CNN tells us letters from Joe Biden reveal how he sought support of segregationists in the fight against busing. And Washington Post tells us that Biden's tough talk on 1970s schools desegregation plans could get him new scrutiny. And there are
complaint. And see, Matt, this is real simple. They are appealing to the white racists in the Republican Party. That's all this is.
And one of the ways that they do that is framing everything as black as somehow being ideological. I mean, we talked about that the last week on the show, but that's what's so insidious and just malicious about it. It's a lot of this stuff is just purely historical fact that is being cast as somehow being ideological because it's black people. And to your point, a lot of the way you see their rhetoric surrounding this being sold is this idea of why are we allowing people to co-opt America? We need to take it back by virtue of sanitizing history. Basically, people are lying about what the history is. But we know, number one, the truth of the history is indispensable contributions by Black people, just across the board, number one. But number two, if you take ideology out of it and it's purely historical, I don't know how you make that, a political issue or make it an issue of one group of people versus another, whereas it's just a demonstrable fact. So I say that to say this. That's exactly what they're appealing to. That's exactly who they're appealing to. And it's terrifying that in this country, there's a large contingent of people who will see something as Black and see it as immediately being ideologically slanted or somehow being, it's carrying out some Marxist ideology or some far liberal ideology or whatever, when it's fact, historical fact. And the interesting thing about this is, as it relates specifically to the Confederacy, a lot of their objection, or at least purported objection, is this idea that people are not promoting American values. They're not adopting American values. They're not standing strong for America and what she stands for. But that's literally what the Confederacy did not do. It literally seceded from the United States of America and fought a war to have its own supremacy. I mean, that is like per se treason. And it's crazy to me that in the same breath, people who are in support of renaming these military bases and putting back up these monuments to Confederate people can not understand the intellectual cognitive dissonance that lies in that kind of statement, and the idea that you've got to be more American by standing up for American values and promoting American values, but I should have the right to promote the best example of a contingent of people who did not promote American values. And they'll never answer that hypocrisy, because it isn't about being logically, consistent. It's about Blackness, and it's about anti-Blackness, and it's about making anything that is tangentially related to Black be the enemy. And we're seeing that, and it's terrifying that people are allowing that. I mean, to this end, I'm a part of a committee here in the local town that puts on an annual parade. And I didn't know this, but as of, 5 or 10 years ago, there was like a group of Confederates who would march in this parade. And I told the people I was involved with, there's absolutely no way I'll be involved if they're involved. They're no longer involved. But just as recently as 5 years ago, people were still coming out with Confederate flags and demanding their opportunity to march down the street with heritage. You only do that if your heritage is about hate, and if you want to thumb your nose in the face of people who recognize that it's about hate and who call you on that. I mean, that's what we're seeing with this administration. And when you hear it from your neighbors, when you hear it from people down the street, it's abhorrent. When you hear it from the White House, it's terrifying, because they've got the means to enact policies that put that hate into practice into ways we've seen it happen over the course of American history.
So here's what they're doing, Derek. Go to my iPad. So here's a perfect example. So when the grossly unqualified Fox News anchor Peter Hegseth became Secretary of Defense, he began to do the reversal of the Army bases. And so they changed Fort Benning. They changed that. What they also did was change Fort Liberty. But here's the deal. This is how shameful they are. So Fort Bragg was named after a Confederate general. Okay, that's what it used to be named after, Braxton Bragg. But then he got cute by renaming it after Private First Class Roland Bragg, a World War II veteran awarded the Silver Star and Purple Heart. Then he did the same thing for another particular base as well. So what they're doing is using same names. These people are a joke, but what they're appealing to is whiteness. They're tapping into the buttons of white people who go, how dare you change our history? They want these Confederate monuments to remain. This is about appeasing whiteness. We got to call this thing what it is. It's playing up to them. It's embracing them. This is about white culture, white dominance over history, white dominance over everything.
Yeah, Roland, you're exactly right. And I definitely agree what has been mentioned, but I just want to add a couple of points. Right? They're not just doing this at the federal level, they're also doing this at the state level, right? Their whole goal in whitewashing at the federal and at the state level, this Heritage Foundation, is to make sure they sanitize everything of the past, uplift their culture, And then, so 50 years from now, Roland, you wouldn't even think that we contribute anything to the United States. You wouldn't think that Frederick Douglass lived or Dr. King lived. And so we're fighting at the state level here in Georgia several egregious bills. So we're getting this from the federal level and at the state level. But in the bottom line here is that it's up to us, Roland, and everything that you have mentioned tonight, that make sure that we preserve our culture, that we preserve our history. And that's the reason why Black media platforms such as yours is to make sure that we get this information out. We mobilize and organize in a manner to realize that it may be Smithsonian today, but tomorrow it may be Dr. King's statue. They may want to remove all the Dr. King street names across the United States. I think there's like 113 Dr. King streets. And so this fight, we have to have the endurance. We have to have the stamina to fight them at the federal level and at the state level.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.